Welcome to CE Ag Talks, the video series from CE Ag World, a media site devoted to the business of growing food undercover, including greenhouse produce, vertical farms, and outdoor protected crops. Welcome back to CE Ag Talks. Today we're welcoming Chris Cerveny, co-founder and president of Bridge City Global, a business advisory group that offers consulting and technical services to the horticulture industry. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Dana. I'm glad to be here.
So to begin, can you tell our viewers a little bit about Bridge City Global and how it came to be?
Yeah, sure. Bridge City Global is my consulting company that I co-founded with my wife, Meg, and we both have worked in the CEA industry. We have broader horticulture careers than just in the CEA industry. And in fact, she's moved on to her first love in arboriculture, and that's what she spends most of her days doing. And myself, I now do the bulk of the consulting, but we both have a lot of experience in this industry in vertical farming. I've worked in greenhouses, managed an aquaponics facility, and in addition to that, I've also worked on teams developing inputs for the industry. So things like grow lights, things like fertilizer and growing media. And I leverage all of those things to help with all kinds of stuff. So I call it freelance innovation, but it's really about product development, strategy refinement, being a guide into the industry. That's through investors or it's entrepreneurs. It's companies with new ideas that they want to bring things to market, but that's essentially what it is. And I call it freelance innovation.
What is your biggest piece of advice for growers in the space?
When I first started out, I wanted to be a grower, and I became a floriculture propagator in a greenhouse in Michigan. And I just liked growing plants. It was really fun. I got to experience all these different varieties, and I'm thinking about like the technical aspects of growing, right? But until I got into the business of horticulture, that's the piece. When I started to understand how what I did impacted the business, the bottom line. We say unit economics are important, but what does that mean? It means, do you understand how all your actions, or even any of your actions, impact the profitability of what you're doing? And with that knowledge, you can really help ensure the success of your company versus being a drag the other direction. We think we're contributing, but if you don't know financially how you're contributing, then you're missing the whole thing. We're in business because we want to make money, right? So the idea is, do you know how your work makes money for the company, and how can you do that even better to help the company in a better way? I think that's really important, understanding your role as a grower in the profitability of the company. The other piece is more, I want to zoom out and talk about from a higher level standpoint. It's this idea of pursuing goals, too many goals. And every company that I've talked to that is experiencing challenges, including ones where I've worked at personally, has this in common: too many hard goals at the same time. And it's really about one hard thing at a time. Do one hard thing, get it done, then add incremental goals on top of it. You can pursue more than one goal, but you're at big risk of failure, especially in a startup, because you're moving fast. And I use this analogy of high-speed rail trains all the time. If you start out at the same place with two high-speed rail trains and you're racing along, if you have a little bit of drift in trajectory, it won't take long until you're at different spots entirely. And it's really hard to turn a train around and get them lined back up again. So there's a lot of checkpoints, a lot of communication that's needed, and it rarely works out. What happens if you're pursuing too many goals is you get overextended, and we're all competing for the same resources. And so, an example of that might be you're developing a new technology, you're developing a market, you're developing marketing, and you have market plans, and you're trying to grow these things. And every one of these costs drags on the cost of the business. You're trying to pay for an expensive CapEx. Maybe we're trying to develop new efficiencies to save on CapEx. They all sound good, and they are all important, but it's selectively pursuing the right goals. So that's the other really important piece we do at Bridge City. And my advice to companies is strategy refinement. Make sure we're pursuing the right goal, and that we know, and then we put all hands on deck, focused on that goal, and achieve it, get it. Then selectively pick the next goal and get that one, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And when you start to build the success, you start to build the confidence of the team, and you improve the ability to get things done. That includes bringing the grower into the meeting and having the grower at the table to helping them understand. Now, can you do that for all of your growers? Maybe not, depending on the size of the operation you are, but at least your head grower, at least the people who are key to making decisions of what's going on with the plants, they need to be in business meetings and they need to understand that business. And the owners need to listen to them, right? It's back and forth. But if, you know, I think we know in this industry a lot that you got to listen to the plant growers, the people that understand the plants. But I think it's a two-way street, that plant growers need to understand the business and the business owners need to understand the realities of growing these crops, variability, yield expectations and that sort of thing, and the challenges. So one more time, it's the unit economics related to the grower and what their impact on those unit economics are. And it's pursuing one goal at a time.
Great. Especially your second piece of advice, I feel like applies to all industries, even outside of CEA. So great advice all
Yeah.
around. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking some time out of your afternoon to talk with me about Bridge City Global and the work you're doing in Pittsburgh. Is there anything else you would like to mention before we sign off here?
Every horticulturist I know is successful because we followed our passions. And I think that's so important. I think you just keep going. If you're in this business because you love it, then that's what matters. That's what's going to get you through the long hours, because we know there are long hours. It's going to get you through the hard work and the hard times, is leaning into that passion. And so I want to just say that too, right? This is a passion industry, and that is important. But you got to marry that with practicality of how do we make it sustainable. And I hope that that insight helps more companies stay in business. We need it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And that was a great note to end on. And I'm sure we'll talk again sometime soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dana.